Ready? All right, so this is to give you a rundown and reminder for some of you how to do the mounting. Now we're working with dried specimens, so we can't put pins through these directly. They're too fragile, so we have to point them. So what do we need for that? I've got everything laid out here. You're going to need number 2 or 3 enamel pins. So we've got lots of those. Don't use stainless steel for this. Stainless steel are reserved for when you're actually going directly through the insect. They have to last forever. The enamel pins are much cheaper and can be replaced if they're going through a point only. So we're going to need points, the pins, the specimens we're working with, scissors, label paper, forceps, pen. I use a Micron Pigma type pen. It's indelible in alcohol, and LePage's Bond Fast glue is my preference. You can use lots of things, white shellac, various different things, but I prefer LePage's Bond Fast, so that's what my students will be using. All right, so first thing is points. We have this board with yellow pages for those of you who are old enough to remember what they are, and the yellow pages have been cut to the right height here for making points. It's very quick this way because you don't have to aim to get like a pinning block or something like that. You don't have to line them up. So all right, so I throw a few points out on there. And then try to get the pins through the middle of the base of the points. There, you get the idea. So it's very quick to set it up. If you need to make your points, obviously I have a bottle I've already cut, but you use a point punch and you just go along and make them that way. So I usually make a bottle or half a bottle full and then draw from that. So that's how you set them up. Now, next job is to get your specimens out for pinning, for mounting. And you can see right away, one of the problems with dried specimens is there's a leg has fallen off here. So which specimen is it from? If you can't be 100% sure, that leg goes in the garbage. In this case, we can see we have 6 legs on this beast, 6 on this one, 6 on this one. That leg came off this specimen. So we're going to reassociate that, and I'll show you how. We're going to start with that one because that's the one that's damaged. So when we deal with a damaged specimen, we're not going to repair it. We're not going to put the leg back on it because that can obscure characters. And also, we want to show that we're reassociating the body part in case we make a mistake. We don't want to make a mistake, but in case we do, somebody in the future will say, well, that leg fell off and they've put it back with the wrong specimen. Okay, so for the glue, I'm just going to get it out of the bottle, but sometimes it's easier to make a little pile of glue on a piece of plastic or something. So that's how we would normally. These are really big though. So here's what I'm going to do: is I'm going to bend the point that I'm putting onto the body of the specimen. That way it'll hold a little bit more glue. I'll put the glue directly on it. That's way too much, so take a little bit off. All right, now where does that go? It goes on the right-hand side of the thorax. So, like that. And then I'm going to put it on an angle until that glue hardens. But while I'm waiting for that, I'm going to put this leg on the other point. There we go. Now, if a head falls off, you want to put the head with the glue on the side, sort of halfway down the right-hand side. And that way, these things are bilateral, so you're not obscuring characters on the other side. You definitely don't want to get the glue on the antennae or the back of the head or anything like that. So just like you're doing with the body, we're putting the glue on the right-hand side of the thorax. So the big specimens are a pain because they they take a bit of time to dry. Bond fast bonds fast, so that's why I use it. Shellac and other things dry quite slowly. The only downside of white glue, the bond fast glue, is some really fatty insects like big fat robber flies. The glue will actually cause a discoloration of the thorax, but with surfids and the things that I'm working on, for the most part, never have that problem. Okay, so we'll just do the next one here. Same thing. Now you see I've got it on sort of a crappy angle, so I've got to sort of try to turn it. There. Nope. So that didn't work out very well. So I'm going to put some more fresh glue on and try again. So that happens, it doesn't happen often, but these big specimens are definitely a lot more work and trying than small specimens. So I'm going to put it back in the same spot so don't make a mess of it. It's the wing that's the problem here. This bottom wing is getting in the way. All right, sometimes it's just not going to be perfect, so we'll do our best here and call it a day, I guess. The more you poke at it, the more likely you are to break it. All right, so let's try this really big one. That's going to be a problem. So again, see what I'm doing here is I'm bending the end of the point down a bit, and that just gives you more surface area for these big specimens. You don't need to do this with really small ones. It's funny, you know, when people are learning to do this, they always figure the small ones are the hard ones, but they're the ones that are really the easiest. When the wings are down like this, that is the hardest. For sure. All right, hopefully that'll hold. Actually, I should get my point ready first. So why are we doing this video? Normally I would teach my students directly, but because of the pandemic, we have to do this remotely. So everybody has to learn by watching this, and then I'll have to evaluate the specimens by students sending me pictures to show how they're doing. And as you can tell, it's not always easy with these big specimens. These are from malaise traps, so they're collected into alcohol, which is why they had to be dried before mounting. Oh, that's really bad. More glue on because it came off. You can see the big one just fell off. That's not good. That doesn't happen very often. That's annoying. When the wings are up, it's much easier than when the wings are deflexed like this. Deflected. Okay. Well, let's see. Let's hope that holds. Doesn't look good. Okay, that will hold there, that angle. All right. Now we got one more here in another jar. This is smaller, so it's going to be easier. So those four that we did already are surfids. This is a canopid called Stylogaster. From Peru, this one. So that's another thing to mention, that you're going to be doing a lot of pinning, and it might get a little bit repetitive and boring, but remember that these specimens are extremely valuable in terms of the scientific value. Some of them have never been collected before. They're new species and will never be seen again, possibly even. You never know. And they cost a lot to obtain because we had to go to these places and get these specimens. So that was a whole lot easier. See, smaller specimens are much more quick and easy to deal with. If we're worried that that might move, then we'll put it on that angle like that. Now, the really, really important thing to do as you're doing this is making sure that you keep your labels associated with the specimens. We had one summer, one student was careless and definitely switched some labels. We could tell because things were from the wrong places, and we threw out everything they'd done. It all went in the garbage. It was thousands and thousands of dollars and irreplaceable specimens all in the garbage because we couldn't trust the data. So be very, very careful to keep the data together with the specimens. So once this is dried, this one I can move around because it's not a big deal. We can just put this label right through. And then we organize them. Ultimately, we keep both labels, although that's just a family level label, but we'll keep them both. Everything is organized the way you would read a book. So when we're putting these specimens in, so I'm going to take this one out, I think it's done. It'll go here, and then the following specimens are going to follow along to the right. And then we're going to go to the second row and go along here, and you can leave a gap between them just to show that they're from a different series. Now, what happens if you've got 40 or 50 specimens from one collecting event with one label, and you fill the box, and you go into another box? Always, always handwrite another duplicate of that label exactly like it is and put it on the first specimen in the box. Every box has to have a label in the top left corner because those boxes could get moved around. And then, of course, we'd have to throw away all the specimens that didn't have a label. So it's really, really important that every box has a label. So you can see they're drying pretty well. We can start to move them around now. I think this one's done. And this one still looks wet, but I'm going to try it anyways. So this is, so let's grade these here. So this one is pretty much perfect. Okay, so we've got the glues on the right-hand side of the thorax. Everything on the left side's open. The legs aren't too gluey. Looks great. Give myself 100% on that one. How are we doing on these big guys? Okay, not too bad at all. Glue is good. I haven't gone too far down on the side. It's a little bit sloped. I'll give myself 9 on that one out of 10. The big guy, geez, that worked out really well. No problem there with the leg off and everything. I'll give myself 10 out of 10 on that one. This one, see how I've got it off on a bit of an angle? That's the one that fell off and I had to redo. I can see all the characters. There's no problems in terms of specimen integrity, in terms of me seeing the morphology. It just doesn't look quite as pretty because it's not perfectly at 90 degrees. Like this one is perpendicular to the pin, right? This one's on a bit of an angle. We'll give myself 8 on that one. And this one was really playing hard to get. And you can see it's gone onto quite a significant angle. Again, all the characters are visible. I can see genitalia, the head, the legs, everything's good. The glue's not obscuring everything. There's lots of glue. It's going to hold. It's not going to fall off. But it looks bad because it's on a big angle. Give yourself 6 out of 10 on that one. But anyways, you can see what you're trying to do. Here's sort of your perfect specimen. This one's not too bad either. That's the goal. That's it. And just make sure you keep those labels properly associated, and you'll get faster and faster at it as you go.